So notarizing wills and trusts. And if everybody can mute themselves during this time frame, that would be greatly appreciated. And then when we go to the Q&A, you'll be able to then unmute. So when it comes to the, let me go back to this part. Okay. So notarizing wills and trusts, best practices for sensitive documents in North Carolina. So guarding against misconduct, protecting public office signers and your notary commission in North Carolina against statutory errors and document defects. So let me pose the core dilemma. Can choosing or attaching the wrong loose notary certificate jeopardize your commission? Yes, improper execution can invalidate legal instruments and risk severe administrative penalties. So going to our notary manual, and I will encourage you guys to mark page 65, and it's going to be the last set of paragraphs under specific certificates, wills, powers of attorney, and living wills. This is what you want to focus on and study thereafter our session tonight. Then acknowledge the high anxiety around estate planning documents when you're dealing with wills and trust. So guarding against notary misconduct and fraud as public officials, that is the ultimate goal. When it comes to the high anxiety and high risk, wills and trusts carry emotional weight and strict legal requirements. Notaries must uphold high standards of duty to prevent fraud and legal challenges. Statutory certificates and North Carolina law. So we're going to refer to Chapter 10B and Chapter 31 when it comes to the compliance of it all. So in the image is a sample of a last will and testament. They all look different because it all depends on if it was a attorney that drafted for the customer, or if you go to a legal website like LegalZoom as an example. They have several different types of documents that's considered legal documents, and you just want to know that many times they are compliant with North Carolina law, because most of the attorneys that are a part of this organization of documents, I should say, they know state-specific laws. So many times, again, they're going to make sure you have the right information. And thankfully, you can also check your general statutes when it comes to verbiage, how things should be worded. So that can help along the way. So North Carolina general statutes prescribe specific statutory certificates for wills, like say approve the wills under general statutes 31-11.6. The as presented rule, and again, that's something that's stated specifically in our manual. If a certificate is provided on a will or trust, complete it as presented. Okay. Then when it comes to missing certificate protocol, if a will, power of attorney, or living will lacks a certificate, do not choose or suggest standard model certificates from General Statutes 10B41 or 10B42. Again, it gives very clear instructions on exactly what to do and what not to do. So we just want to make sure we're following exactly those steps. Then the unattached loose certificate danger for standard documents, missing certificates, signers select from statutory models. However, special documents like wills and powers of attorney carry distinct statutory requirements. Attaching an improper loose form creates serious legal defects. So again, just think about the fact that we don't want to carry more than we should in this position. So it's okay for us to say, no, we cannot, because we want to make sure that we don't have any issues when it comes to something being out of compliance. I know that we probably went over errors and omissions insurance before, and this is one of the reasons why it's important to have that in effect, because if you did not know what you don't know, even though that's no excuse for us not to actually know the notary law. Because again, if you're just getting started, you have a lot to learn, and that's okay because it's a journey. All right. The goal is for you to really be more well versed on where to find the information and not to retain it all, but at least know exactly where to go. This again will help you make sure you're making the right choices and decisions when someone is asking for you to notarize their signature on certain documents. So that again is very important for you to actually know what is available to you when it comes to your resources. So the loose certificate trap, missing certificates. So when it comes to the pro tip, let me cover that for you. Non-lawyer notaries cannot advise a customer on which certificate to use, how to draft a document, or how to make a will self-proved. The only advice you may legally give a customer asking what to do is please consult a licensed notary, please consult a licensed North Carolina attorney. And again, that is the only advice we can actually give legally without that being an authorized practice of law, because we're actually directing them to the law, yours, that can help them in this situation. And then when it comes to personal appearance and identification reminder. You want to make sure that when it comes to wills, you strictly ensure physical personal appearance and verify identity via satisfactory evidence or personal knowledge when it comes to them appearing before you. When we do have remote electronic notarization in play, self-proved wills are prohibited from being done electronically. So that's something you really probably want to notate. So when we are able to move forward in that direction, there won't be an issue when it comes to you taking on a customer who says, I have a will, I need to get notarized, and you're trying to set things up remotely. So again, you need to remove yourself from that, let them know they need to consult with an attorney that can help them with their will. And this is something that we can't do through the electronic means. So that again is very important to be able to share. And again, if they challenge you, you can help them when it comes to being able to point them to statute. So again, they're not going to look at you like you don't know how to do your job. You just want to make sure they understand I do know how to do my job and I want to keep my position when it comes to my commission. So that again, you have to a lot of times share the why not with a customer because they just really think we can do everything. And so again, we have to help them understand we do have limitations. Zero tolerance policy. So, strict legal boundary. If a will, power of attorney, or living will lacks a notary certificate, you cannot select, suggest, or attach loose certificates from General Statutes 10B 41 or 42. Attaching improper loose forms risk invalidating sensitive legal instruments and triggering misconduct inquiries. So, again, we want to make sure that you understand in estate planning documents is a little different than any other document where you're working with loose certificates. Avoiding unauthorized practice of law. So again, as a non-lawyer, notary public in North Carolina, strict statutory limitations apply. No certificate selection. You cannot decide or advise which certificate form to use. There's no document drafting. Never draft legal text, add wording, or modify will certificates. You may be feeling like you're helping someone to some degree if they say, "Oh my goodness, I forgot to to add this." Well, they themselves could add information, okay, before you notarize the document. They have the ability to do that, but we cannot do any of those things because, again, we have strict rules and laws that govern what we can do, and we're really there for a few things: personally identifying the person, making sure the document that we're looking at does not have any room for adding something. That's the reason why we want to make sure there's no blanks that's obviously needing to be completed. And then, of course, making sure that we can notarize their signatures. When it comes to no legal guidance, do not advise signers on how to make a will legally self-proved. Now, when it comes to how we can do that, not at the table with a client, marketing strategies. Create yourself a Facebook business page, a LinkedIn business page, Instagram business page, depending on where your audience is when it comes to your customers, along maybe with your website. You can create a blog. And you can educate your audience in this way by giving them this information, telling them where it is in statute, but we still have freedom of speech. So this is how that can work when it comes to you being able to share information, but you cannot talk to them about that advising, quote unquote, before them as a notary public. But freedom of speech, you can do that through your social media platforms. But again, you want to also add a disclaimer of you not being a licensed attorney being able to practice and advise here in the state of North Carolina, and you can't get paid for advising. So again, it's got to be very clear that you cannot do these things, and that's not who you are when it comes to being a attorney. So again, that can be very clear in all of your social media marketing. So again, if you can put that little blurb, at least 10 points, the minimum, so people can see it, that is something I would encourage you to do so that way, again, it can separate you from educating versus advising. Because attorneys, they try to eat that up all day long and they will come for us. So the goal is to put yourself in a position where you do not have someone pointing you out with UPL. All right. So when it comes to the golden rule and pro tip, please consult a licensed North Carolina attorney. And that is something that we can always say when we are asked to do something that's beyond our scope of being a notary. And that way, again, they have options. They just have to make a choice. We've made a choice to do the right thing, so we can choose to, again, move on our way because we can't do anything further if they do need to consult with an attorney. So make your job easy. So execution and verification standards. So there's physical personal appearance. Remember, you have to be able to see those people in front of you when it comes to who is personally appearing that you're identifying. Strict ID verification, confirm identity via unexpired government photo ID or personal knowledge. Administer required oaths. Formally administer required oaths, affirmations, or affirmations before signing and sealing. So pay attention to the verbiage in the notarial certificate. If it has the word sworn or affirm, that means they need to have that administered to them before moving on. Okay. If it says certify or acknowledge, then that's totally different, and you can again move forward with notarizing the document. But again, those signatures should be placed on the document before administering oath and affirmation when the verbiage says so. You want to practice on having a detailed journal, logging all of your transactions. So from what type of documents, how many people, the identifications used. You want to make sure all of that is, again, very clear in your journal, amongst other things that can help when it comes to just being very detail oriented. So the core rule summary. Complete standard certificates as presented. Never choose or draft certificates, and refer all legal questions to a licensed North Carolina attorney. So, what's coming up? So that way, for those of you that may actually want to work with hands-on training with these types of documents to get the practice in, you can do this in person or online. We have our online coming up next weekend. I have extended the deadline for you to register through this Saturday at midnight. Will give me the opportunity and the enough time to actually ship the entire materials to you. And that material is going to be the 16 plus document manuscript, which is considered your workbook study guide that will help you with referring to different documents. And again, we have a whole section about estate planning documents when it comes to the core documents that most people will have notarized by us notaries. So again, this can help you with the practice and really making sense and the relatability of what that is for you. Looking and reading this on the surface doesn't really help you embrace the magnitude of what you're working with unless you have a created a will for yourself and understand, or helped a loved one with theirs, in a sense of just, again, being a family member, helping with certain things if they need you to write it, with their wording and things of that nature. But again, for those that have never touched these types of documents, this can be very beneficial for your growth. If you have taken any of our training for 2 day, or I should say, Notary Basics Accelerated workshops, you can get a $50 discount. Again, I have all of the rosters from all of the years in the past, so I'll know if you are someone that um, can actually have that discount. Again, this is something that's going to be very helpful. We do offer afterpay, so if you need 6+ months um, to make payments, everything is all about how you can still get the information you need on a budget. So my goal is to make sure this can be um, useful and helpful for you, because I want everybody to win. So now we're going to actually turn everything back to you all, so we can go through what questions you may have, and let's see if anyone has put anything in the comments. Looking at the replay, I would like for you two guys to actually subscribe, share, and again, like our channel. We are about 70, no, we're about 61 people away from making our 1,000 subscriptions. So our subscribers. And so I would love for you guys to, again, take the time to share with other notaries, because they just never know what they may actually gravitate to on any of our Tuesday Notary Tune-ups and other videos that will also be added eventually to this channel. So again, I thank you guys for your dedication, your support, just by sharing. Sharing is caring, and being able to again interact with comments, thumbs ups. Let me know exactly how any of our videos are helping you, because that helps me know what we're doing right. Okay, so please don't be shy, and I look forward to seeing you guys